Welcome back, everybody, to the Reldrick Geo channel. Today, we're going to be learning a little bit more about cricket. Now, for the past couple days, I have been sick, but I've used that time wisely by watching a few IPL matches, and I will say, the more that I watched, the easier it became to understand. I do still feel a little disconnected. I feel like I have to watch a lot more, right? I have to learn about a few more teams, maybe look into some more local teams, the USA team. But yeah, even today I was watching the Mumbai Indians versus the Lucknow Super Giants. So yeah, I'm actually really enjoying the game, surprisingly enough. But I do feel like I need to learn a little bit more, and this video was recommended to me on the last video that I watched over on the Sports Explained channel. It's his follow-up video where he explains a little bit more. So I figured, hey, why not? Let's go ahead and watch this, just so I learn just a bit more. So this is Cricket and Baseball: More Similarities and Differences. For those that don't know, I did play baseball back in the day. I've watched a lot of baseball. I've probably watched more baseball than I have any other sports, like American football or soccer, which is football. I never really watched basketball. But yeah, baseball is probably the sport that I've watched the most of. And yeah, maybe it'll be cricket. Maybe it'll be some football, some good old soccer. I know my family is really big into the soccer scene, and oh, actually, you know what? Like MMA fights is probably the thing that I watch the most of. But when it comes to sports with balls, it's baseball. Anyways, let's get into it.
More similarities and differences between baseball and cricket.
Hey, this video is a follow-up to my video, Cricket Explained for Baseball Fans.
This was a good video, by the way. You should go and watch it, or you can watch my reaction to it. Both, actually. Do both.
If you haven't watched that one, you might want to do that first. For the final section of that video, I described some broad similarities and differences between cricket and baseball. Several people shared more similarities and differences in the comment section of that video, so I figured it would be a good idea to make a quick companion video highlighting some additional ones. One difference, and this is pretty obvious, but it bears a mention, is that in cricket, the fielders catch the ball with their bare hands, while baseball players use gloves. It should be...
It's crazy, barehanded. I saw one guy, he went to go grab it, and it like bounced out, and he started juggling it in the air. It was wild.
Noted that the cricket ball is actually heavier and harder than a baseball, so that's just something to know. While we're here, let's talk about the balls. Although they look
Is that what the ball
cricket
is?
balls and baseballs are actually pretty similar. They're both made of cork and string covered in leather and are stitched together along standard seams. Cricket balls have a single seam that goes around the equator of the ball, as opposed to the horseshoe-shaped seam of a baseball. The main difference is that cricket balls are heavier and slightly smaller than baseballs and are considerably harder because they're covered in lacquer.
Wow.
The major difference is that in cricket, each ball is used for a much longer amount of time than in baseball. How long each ball is used depends on the format of cricket and a few other factors, but it's significantly longer than in baseball, where a new ball is provided anytime the pitcher wants one, anytime the umpire determines that a ball has become dirty, or anytime the ball goes into the seats. Over 100 balls might be used in a single Major League Baseball game, whereas as few as 4 or even just 2 balls might be used across a cricket match, depending on the format and details. Unlike baseball, where fans can keep the balls that they catch, if the cricket ball is hit into the stands, it is returned to play, and if it becomes...
They don't get to keep it? Oh, what a bummer, dude. Oh, wow. I remember one of the memories I've had was going to the like the Dodgers games in California, and I actually caught a ball, and I had that ball. I don't know where it is now, but you know, when I was younger, I had that ball. What a bummer! What an actual bummer. They don't get to keep it.
Lost or damaged, the umpire selects a new ball from a collection of game-worn balls and will choose the ball that is the most similarly worn to the one that was in play. One similarity is that both games have a bit of a ritual break built into them, at least at the highest levels. Professional baseball has its 7th inning stretch, whereas one-day international cricket and test cricket have tea and lunch or dinner breaks. The difference is that baseball's seventh inning stretch always happens halfway through the seventh inning, while the tea and dinner or lunch breaks in cricket happen at set times during the playing day, regardless of where they are in the match. Also, the breaks in
Interesting.
these cricket matches are considerably longer than the seventh inning stretch, which only lasts a few minutes. YouTube user SynthMusicFan501 brought up a bunch of similarities and differences, and they have created a series of videos about cricket that explain the game in more detail for anybody interested.
Whoa. I might have to go check out that channel.
One difference that was new to me is that in cricket, there are no double plays. Only one runner or batter can be put out in a single play. YouTube user Era Persigan2 brought up a similar difference, which is in cricket, there's no need to tag up like on a fly ball that might be caught. If the ball is caught, as long as you made it past the other crease, you're safe. The run won't count, but this is something that you might want to do to affect the striking position for the next ball. Another difference brought up by YouTube user Sam Moffat is that a lot of the decisions that in baseball would be made by the manager in cricket are made by the on-field captain, so someone who's actually playing the game. It's been a long time since Major League Baseball has seen a player manager, and it's pretty rare for on-field players to have, the level of influence over decision making that a manager has, although it does happen sometimes. A similarity between the two games is that bowlers and pitchers deliver the ball at different speeds and with different types of spin, and each type of delivery has its own name. For example, in baseball, we have the changeup, and in cricket, there is the slower ball. One difference that I've noticed, and I would love for a cricket person to maybe explain this a little bit better in the comments,
Wow.
is that cricket bowlers tend to be identified or classified based on the type of bowling that they do. There are two broad categories. You have fast bowlers and spin bowlers, and within those categories, you have bowlers who are identified with one sub-style of bowling. In baseball, it's not uncommon for a pitcher to have a signature pitch or a signature sequence of pitches, but these are generally seen as just one part of a wider pitching arsenal. It's rare for a baseball pitcher to be identified primarily by the type of pitch that they throw. Knuckleballers are the one exception I can think of right now. Like R.A. Dickey, you would call him a knuckleballer before you'd call him anything else. Instead,
I'd like to see a pitcher from baseball try to bowl cricket. Or vice versa, even. I don't know. It's completely different, but it'd be interesting to see.
in baseball, it's much more common to identify or classify a pitcher by the role they play on the team. Starter, closer, setup man, long reliever, etc. I mean, even someone like Mariano Rivera, who was known for basically throwing only one style of pitch, you wouldn't call him a cutter ball pitcher before you called him the closer for the New York Yankees. Another similarity between the two games is that baseball and limited overs cricket deal with ties basically the same way. In baseball, if the game is tied after the ninth inning, they go on to extra innings, which is where additional innings are played until one team has scored more runs than the other team at the end of the inning. And in limited overs cricket, if the game is tied after the overs limit has been reached after the second innings, they play what are called super overs, which is where each team bats for one over, and they keep doing this until the super over ends with one team having more runs than the other team, just like in extra innings. And a thank you goes out to YouTube user Sankara Narayanan C for pointing this out. Finally, in baseball, if weather causes the game to be shut down for the day, the game is either declared final as it is, or the game is suspended and basically unpaused at a later date, depending on how much the game has been completed. This can lead to some interesting situations, including at least one case where a player appeared for both teams in the same game after being dropped by one team and then picked up.
I've never heard of this before. Wow.
By the other team in between the suspension of the game and its restarting a few months later. In limited overs cricket, if weather causes the game to be shut down and it's still the first innings, the match is just considered a draw. They don't restart the match at another date. If this happens during...
I think there was a at the time of this recording, obviously, there was a match either yesterday or the day before that got rained out as well. I don't remember who was playing, and this is the IPL that I'm talking about. IPL 2024 in May. For reference, if you're watching this video in the future.
during the second innings, and the batting team has had the opportunity to bat at least 20 overs if it's an ODI cricket match, or 5 overs if it's a T20 match, one team is declared the winner, but it's not necessarily the team with the most runs. They use something called the Duckworth-Lewis method to determine the winner. And this is way too complicated for me to talk about here, so there's a link in the description if you want more information about this. Before we end this video, I just wanted to weigh in on a debate that seems to have come up in the comment section of that video just in the last week or so. And the debate is about which of these games is more complicated. And I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying, like, I'm a lifelong baseball fan. I played Little League as a kid. I play weekly pickup games in the park. I run a fantasy baseball league. I watch like at least one baseball game a day during baseball season. And I'm pretty new to cricket. I only really got into cricket maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it was a conscious thing. I decided I wanted to get into it. It seemed interesting, so I started watching some matches and basically had to figure the game out myself. With all this being said, I can confidently say that if you are starting from a place where you know nothing about either sport, cricket is by far the easier game to understand. My oldest kid is 3 years old, and most of her cousins and the kids that she plays with are, her age or at most kindergarten age. And we've tried playing games like t-ball and kickball using baseball rules, and we've also played a game that's basically cricket but, modified for a 3 or 4 year old. And just at this basic gameplay level, I find that cricket is just so much easier to describe to
Peppa Pig.
3 to 5 year old, which makes me think that it's probably the simpler game to understand if you're coming at it from a position of not knowing either sport. I mean, in cricket, you can hit the ball in any.
Peppa Pig's so popular, she has her own amusement parks. It's crazy.
Direction. There's no foul area, so you don't have to explain that. There's only the 2 wickets. There's not the 4 bases. So you just tell the kid, try to hit the ball, and if you think you can make it to the other wicket, run. If you don't think you can make it, stay put. That's honestly a lot easier than, okay, so you hit the ball, run to first base. You have to run to first base, but don't run to second unless you think you can make it, unless you're compelled to run to second because you started on first base and now the ball is in place, so you're compelled to move. It's a lot more complicated. There's no tagging up in cricket, so you don't have to teach the kids about, okay, so if they catch the ball, you actually have to tag up on the base that you were at, and then if you think you can make it, you can run, but a lot of the time you don't want to run unless there's 2 outs and 2 strikes.
I think for children, sure, the concepts might be easier to understand cricket at first, but I think for an adult, either game, I don't think poses any sort of difficulty in learning.
In which case, you do want to run. That's a lot more information than just, if you think you can make it, try to run to the other one. Now, this is not to say that cricket does not have its complexities, right? Both games have their own intricacies and complexities and the little details and the fine print that make them, not the easiest games in the world to explain. But even then, I find that cricket's rules follow an internal logic at least a bit more closely than baseball. A great example of baseball not necessarily following its own internal logic is the dropped third strike, which is something that's been brought up in the comments. So for those of you who don't know, in baseball, if a batter swings at a pitch and misses, it's a strike. It's a strike if the ball comes in cleanly. It's a strike if the ball hits the dirt first, which happens a lot like on splitters or like with back foot sliders or something like that. Even if the catcher is unable to cleanly get possession of the ball, it's still a strike. However, the batter is only out after the third strike if the catcher catches the ball in the air. So if the ball bounces first or if the catcher cannot cleanly handle the ball and the batter swings, it's still a strike. It still counts as a strikeout for the pitcher and for the batter, but the batter's not actually out. The batter is actually a runner as if the ball had been put in play. That makes sense if you know that the putout only happens when the catcher catches the ball. But that's not something you would know automatically, especially knowing that a batter can't just run to first base on a wild pitch or a passed ball otherwise. But even then, this does not apply.
What even was that? Just hold on.
But that's not something you would know automatically, especially knowing that a batter can't just run.
What even is this? Wow, that was so wide.
First base on a wild pitch or a passed ball otherwise. But even then, this does not apply to every single dropped third strike situation. It only applies if first base is unoccupied or if there are 2 outs. You really wouldn't be able to intuit that rule based on the other rules of baseball that you know. I find there's less of that in cricket. Anyway, if you're a person who knows both sports, feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but that's just something I wanted to weigh in on. Maybe, at least for some of us, the reason why cricket seems so confusing or overwhelming is because there are just enough similarities to baseball that we kind of get into a baseball mindset when we watch the game. And this makes the differences
Maybe.
between baseball and cricket seem especially weird or even chaotic, right? Like imagine two batters just running back and forth between home plate and the pitcher's mound. That would be absolute chaos. But again, if you're starting at a place where you know neither game, I think cricket is the easier game to describe to you and for you to understand, and I don't think it's close. All right, that's it for now.
Cool.
If you'd like more similarities and differences between baseball and cricket, you can check out my Cricket Explained for Baseball Fans video on your screen. There's a bunch in that video, and then there's a lot in the comment section.
Cool. Fun little video. I see here he disabled his likes to dislikes. Was the video not well received? I'm actually kind of shocked. Well, if you want to go and like the video and watch the channel and subscribe to the channel, I don't think he's actually uploaded in a while. The link to this video will be in the description. This cricket and baseball, more similarities and differences. But for now, I'm going to read some comments. And yeah, no, I really enjoyed the video actually. He was very, it was a shorter video, but he talked over the similarities and differences pretty well. Just a few of them, a few more, a few things that I didn't know before. But yeah, I never liked or understood cricket, but one summer was the Ashes, a biannual series of test matches, five-day international matches between England and Australia. It's a thing every morning. I'd turn up in our staff room. I was teaching some summer school, and two of my colleagues would be discussing what had happened the day before. And OMG, they were talking about things like the weather, i.e., atmospheric pressure, humidity, etc. Yeah. The state of the ball, how worn or malleable it was, the state of the crease as the match progressed, the ball repeatedly bouncing in the same rough area starts to deform the terrain. And that's before talking about the talents of the players, the psychological frames of mind, etc. Simple to understand, intricate to master. I think that's a good way to go about it. Also, it has always struck me that it's a team sport in which individuals can, on his own, win the match. The batsman can outscore the entire opposing team. The bowler can lay waste to the opposing batter order. Cool. I think cricket is as complex as baseball. It's just that the complexity is introduced in a different way. In baseball, the complexity comes from within the rules themselves, as you described. In cricket, the basic rules are easy to understand, but the range of different ways a player or team can choose to play may make it more complex in that way. Yeah. Yeah, one of the matches I was watching, the bowler was continuously starting to like throw wider and wider, and it got to the point where he threw so wide that it like the person's hit basically they were able to predict, like he was able to guide where he was going to hit, so they could predict where to go. It was wild. It was crazy. I really enjoyed it. I'm just gonna scroll down a little bit so I can see some deeper comments. Nice, good follow-up video. Another like and comment for the effort. Duckworth Lewis method is complicated even for people who follow cricket regularly. My parents are hardcore cricket fans, and I remember them asking how this thing works. They said no idea because it depends on a lot of factors. Regarding the bowling types you asked about, technically there are actually three types of bowling: fast bowling, medium pace bowling, and spin bowling. Fast, as the name implies, is all about the speed of the ball. Some of the fastest bowlers can reach into the high 90 mile per hour ones, or two have cracked the 100 mile per hour mark. That doesn't mean that they only bowl flat out all the time. They have variants in these arsenals. Example, slower bowls. Medium paced are those bowlers that can just generate the same amount, that can't generate the same amount of speed as the quickies. Quickies? Quickies. But they usually have a much varied number of balls they can use in their arsenal. They also normally far more accurate. Lastly, spin, which I'm assuming they spin and they can make the ball curve and rotate and whatnot. Realizing the balls having heavy rotational imparted on the ball so that when it hits the ground, it veers off depending on what types of spins. Yeah, I've seen a lot of pitches where it bounces and like bounces up between their legs or their bat and their legs. It's pretty cool. Love this channel. The content is on another level. Excellent series. Duckworth Lewis method is complicated that 99% of cricket watchers also don't know how that works. Great video. Was born in England and as a child played cricket and baseball on the base. Have to say I liked cricket a bit better. By the way, interesting fact about the baseball player who played for two teams in the same game due to the rainout. But in fact, one player was traded to the other team during the break between the double headers. Sorry that wait, what? By the way, interesting fact about the baseball player who played for two teams in the same game due to a rainout. But in fact, uh, one player was traded to the other team during the break between doubleheaders. Sorry that I don't quite remember the details. Oh, he's saying it's an interesting fact. I thought he was going to break it down more. Okay. Well, with regards to the discussion at 4, I have heard the word sinker baller used to describe the pitch to weak contact ground ball oriented style. I wish you'd explained why cricket balls aren't replaced so easily and what makes the worn nature of the ball so important. I mean, it's okay. So why the cricket balls aren't replaced and what makes the worn nature of the ball so important? It's just to add more complexity to the match, right? Um, yeah, it's just that simple. It's to add more complexity to the match. This is so I find interesting. Definitely like the concept of double play in cricket because I favor bowlers and wicket taking a bit more. Double play. Oh, okay, okay. I see what he's saying. I lost that comment. Okay, well, you know what? Instead, how about I just go to the new comments, see if there's anything newer. Trying to get kids to bowl with a straight arm. Foul ball from bunt counts as a strike and strikes you out. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Cricket brain. Cricket minus brain equals baseball. Cricket minus brain equals baseball? Why does cricket minus brain equals baseball? What? Okay, time waste video? Whoa. You get the saucy comments when you sort by new. Cricket is far more complex and amazing than baseball. Additionally, imagine having a sport so boring there is a pitch count. Baseball isn't boring. Foul ball, Yorker, full toss, reverse sweep. So many subtle nuances. I cocked one off the splice in the gully. There's a pitch count in T20. Yeah. Oh my god, there's so many sauce. Hey, look, he liked a comment from 4 months ago. Love it when I find one of these videos. Well, you are yet to learn so much about cricket. Maybe you do now. Lifelong cricket fan. How long is your comment? Oh, I ain't reading all that. Nope, 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 nope. I appreciate the long comments, but if it's not on my video, I ain't gonna read it. I read the long comments on my videos, but yeah. 5 years of watching cricket, you still don't know shit? Oh my god. These people. Oh my god, the saucy comments. What is going on? Baseball is illogical on so many levels. And he didn't say baseball, he said baseball. There's no such thing as a dinner break in cricket. There only would be in a dang night test match. Okay, all right. So hold on. Has he made videos recently? Oh, he made a video 4 months ago. A little drunk on vacation trying to pitch the type guessing game. Okay. Interesting. Well, that was a little bit more comparison, more of a comparison between baseball and cricket. Yeah, I'm enjoying cricket so far. I will say, I've been enjoying it quite a bit, and yeah, I look forward to finishing the IPL league, which I think there's only a few more matches now, and then the there's the 2020 World Cup is happening here in the U.S. actually, so I'm going to be watching that too. But yeah, if you want to recommend me anything cricket related, feel free to do that in the comments down below. And yeah, hopefully hopefully I can continue enjoying the game. So with that being said, thank you for watching, everybody. Take care. Goodbye.